save it. Welcome back, everyone. My next guest is Jolyn, did I say it correctly?
You did,
Brand,
yes.
And she is the owner of Brand College Consulting. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Background on me is I was a high school English teacher, so I did a lot of work with the college essays with the high school students, and then kind of morphed into helping them with college applications and financial aid, getting a lot of questions from parents, and I realized this was really a huge need, that a lot of parents had lots of questions. So I opened Brand College Consulting in 2011. I've been doing it full-time ever since. I have an office here in Phoenix and in Houston, so I help kids, obviously, across the country. They really are quite apt on Skype and FaceTime, and we can work virtually, so that's nice. But sometimes the families want to meet with me, so both of those locations are available.
Now, let's talk also. You say that you want people to learn what high schoolers and parents need to know about how to get into college from, your company.
Right. A lot of times they wait until junior year and then where do you want to go? What do you want to major? And the kids don't have any idea. So that's where we come in. We can help them with career quizzes and make them, narrow down some college majors, help select colleges based on the right fit for them. A lot of times, unfortunately, kids pick just what's nearby or what is popular or where their best friend or their girlfriend's going. So we help pick colleges, and then we obviously help them through the essays and application procedure.
So you can help anyone from anywhere in the United States, basically.
We can, yes.
Now, your phone number, toll-free, is 800-940-6491, and the website is brandcollegeconsulting.com, and they have offices in Phoenix and in Houston. So you can also work with them directly then here.
Yes.
Okay, great. So why do families hire to help, children go through college admissions?
Well, one of the statistics that they hear that a lot of times sends them running to us is the 4-year graduation rate. Nationally, for most students who go to a 4-year college, so we're already excluding community college kids, is usually in the 40-50 percentile. So half of kids aren't actually graduating on time. So that actually is really crazy, and it cuts people in the pocketbook. You're adding a 5th year, sometimes a 6th year into college. College is already crazy expensive. And if you have a kid who's miserable in the first year and has to come home and transfer, that's, really depressing, and sometimes they get emotional, don't want to go to college. So if we do it right the first time, it saves families some time, it saves lots of money, and make sure the kids actually get the goal of graduating from that college.
Well, I'll tell you something. It would seem to me that everybody really should do something like this because it would make the transition so much easier, and also to have someone to help when it comes to tuition and all of that.
Right.
Because that's a big question, especially when you're trying to get loans and you don't get it all.
Exactly, yes.
You can make mistakes.
You can, right. Most parents, a lot of times they tell me they can research it and figure it out on their own. And if you have a lot of time and you maybe are college educated yourself and you want to do that yourself, great. You probably can find a lot of resources. Everything's online, obviously. But sometimes there's stuff you don't know. I tour 30, 40 colleges a year. So a lot of times the kids will tell me, I really want this environment, or I want a sorority, or I want a college where a lot of the kids live on campus. I can give you that list right off the bat, where a parent might have to spend, 100 hours trying to find those schools.
Now, the website is brandcollegeconsulting.com. The toll-free number is 800-940-6491, and they have offices in Phoenix and in Houston. So how do you help them then do that? How do you help them to apply, or what major to take?
Right. Well, we start with a career quiz usually, so we give that online, and they can go through it and then have a consultation with me or one of the other counselors to narrow down their career fields. We don't try to pick at 16 or 17-year-olds, here's what you're going to do for 40 years, but you need to pick a first choice and a second choice major because most of the college applications require that. So August, right before senior year, they at least need to know a couple majors that they're going to choose because that's what they're going to be going into as freshman year.
Now, go ahead.
And once they have that major, then we can select colleges that are really strong in that major. So if they want a business school, that might be a certain college, where if they want an engineering, it might be a different one. So we kind of fine-tune the list based on that major.
Sure. So can you explain then, I'm going to go over here, the importance of the SATs and the ACTs.
Yes, those are hugely important. A lot of times I hear this and I always cringe a little bit. If they take the SAT or ACT blind, which just means take it cold, let's see how you do, and we'll check, then they get pretty poor scores on that because they don't know what to take. They don't know how to skip. They don't know how to pace themselves through the sections. And a lot of times colleges will see all the test scores. So that might be an issue if you're really trying to be competitive and you're sending really low scores. So before you take anything that's an official test, you need to do some test prep and some tutoring. We can help kids pick which test to take. They don't have to take both, and then recommend either test prep, private tutoring or some test prep companies.
Now, again, that phone number to call toll free, it's 800-940-6491. The website is brandcollegeconsulting.com, and they've got offices in Phoenix and also in Houston. So we hear that low college acceptance rates, so there's a lot of them. What do you recommend to the students that, that can't get in those colleges? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. A lot of times, you hear the horror stories about, 5% acceptance rate at Harvard. That usually affects a really tiny portion of students. They're mostly trying to apply to state public universities and a few more selective schools. But if you look at them, sometimes they have 60, 70% acceptance. If you also want honors college or also want scholarships or financial aid assistance, you really have to be competitive for those. So we help the kids fine-tune their essays, score as well as they can on the SAT or ACT.
When should they call you, though? I mean, when you think about this, as they're in high school, they start high school, right? I mean, I would think that you want to start getting them prepared so that they're already doing well. When is a good time? I'm going off of this for a minute. When is a good time for them to start calling you and working with you?
So the typical time is 9th or 10th grade. That's a really good time to start, and then meeting with us occasionally instead of waiting until junior year and then kind of having to cram everything in. That way I can help you pick the right classes. I can help make sure they're picking the right summer activities, doing volunteering, can suggest some college visits. So we can span that out over the 3 or 4 years. I will tell you that a lot of times,
we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk further. Her number is toll-free, 800-940-6491. It's brandconsulting.com. We'll be back in just a minute. So welcome back. We're talking with Jolyn Brand, and she's the owner of Brand College Consulting. I was saying that she could have her own radio show because she's got a little experience, and it would be so neat for people to call in and ask the questions and get some information. Because us parents, we all really do want our kids to go to college, but we also want to get the best deal, them to actually stay at the college that they chose, right? Or the major that they chose. Right. That's another big one, right?
Yes.
Now, I know that we cut you off there, so go ahead and finish what you want to talk about.
Like I said, so we have college consulting packages that are actually the same price regardless of when you start in high school. So if you start in 9th grade, it's more beneficial. You get the services for longer. That's in hope of applying people to start a little earlier. But, you start in 6th and 7th grade selecting classes that will affect high school choices. So I do have some parents that, probably don't sign on full time. You don't need my help when they're 12 or 11. But if you have some questions or you want an hourly consulting or something, does your kid need to take pre-AP classes or need to take this extra algebra class? We can definitely have that conversation so they know what to do once high school gets there.
Now, the number to call is toll-free, 800-940-6491. The website is brandcollegeconsulting.com. They have offices in Phoenix and in Houston, but she said she can help anyone in the United States because now you can do that via Skype and everything.
Right. We have an online dashboard that keeps track of the kids' tasks and college lists and essays and everything online so the parents can see it as well. And on my website, if you do go, at the very top right is a schedule an appointment. I offer free consultations. So parents can click that and then just see my calendar and pick a date. I am, pretty packed usually, especially now that kids are doing applications. So you might have to pick a week or two out. But if you want to, have a sit down or just give me a call, that would be a good time to schedule an appointment.
It's brandcollegeconsulting.com. She does free consultations. Her phone number is toll-free, 800-940-6491. Okay, so any recommendations for college essays?
Yes. Those definitely have to be proofread and reviewed by someone, hopefully somebody who knows what the colleges are looking for. Kids have a huge range of what they can write about. A lot of times it's just tell me a little bit about you or tell me about your, failure you've had. And those poor kids haven't had a lot of experience writing about themselves. They write academic papers, they write research papers, they don't write any personal narratives where you really need to hook, you really need to tell the admissions officer about you and why you would be a good fit to that college. So a lot of times, even as a high school English teacher. The other English teachers will read it and proofread it just for grammar. And then I will read it and suggest, 10 other edits that they need to fix, or they need to put something else in it, or they need to take a whole paragraph out because it's not adding to it. So having someone look at that is really important if you're running to distinguish yourself on the application.
I cannot imagine anyone not having someone take a second look at that.
You'd be surprised. A few times people call me, who aren't clients after they've sent something. And, once it's sent, it's done. It's gone. So if they find that, the kid sent the wrong essay, or there's lots of errors or spelling errors in it, it's too late. It's gone. And if you call me crying at that point, I can't
There's not
do much
you can
right,
do.
Right.
Now, what about which topics that they should use?
Well, a lot of times the colleges provide at least a general guidance. Like I said, they'll tell you, tell me about your environment or your family or an interest or a talent. So you're kind of restricted, but that's a great time to sit down with the kids and say, okay, if the topic is tell me about one of your interests or talents, let's make a brainstorming list and then pick the most impressive one or the most unique one instead of just writing about football or something that every other kid's going to write about. So a lot of times the kids will do what's easiest, right? They'll write that football essay because that's their whole life. And then they, won't barely mention that. I had one that just the other day who mentioned, oh, well, he's ran like 3 or 4 marathons. Should he write about that? And then not half marathons. He's ran full marathons. I'm like, yes, you should write about that. Nobody else does that, right? At 16 or 17 years old.
Sure.
So we scrapped his sports essay and wrote that one instead. But a lot of times, it's brainstorming and pulling those ideas out of the kids.
When you talk about you do these free consultations, okay, and someone calls you up and they're excited about this. And what is usually the first questions that you start to get to ask? Is it all about, my SAT? Because I think they really want to make sure that they do well on that. What are the first things that you find that people start asking?
It really depends on the year that they call. So seniors will be asking about essays and applications, juniors, SAT and ACT.
But what should they be asking?
They should be asking which schools they should be looking at. Because a lot of times they just want to apply to the 2 or 3 schools they've heard of, the ones that are popular in their state, and they're not looking outside. So I have to actually, point them at a few smaller schools or a school that might be really well known for its scholarships or engineering program.
And I'm just asking this because you're new, and I have to ask you all these new questions too, because I'm kind of thinking for them, for the colleges that you go and you have. You must know all of them, or at least many.
Yes, many, not all. There's lots
There's
of them,
lots
but
and
yeah,
lots.
I go to many.
Of all the different colleges and places that you recommend, do you do just universities? Are there certain, do you also do, let's say somebody doesn't necessarily want to go to a 4-year college, or they want to, and maybe they want to be in a trade type of a college.
Right.
So I'm asking you
Sure. I do focus mostly on the 4-year universities. I can help with the 2-year colleges as long as it's an actual community college. We don't do the vocational school. So I'm not going to send you to ITT Tech because it just closed,
Yeah,
right?
it did.
So some of those
They were on my show.
avoid. Oh,
They
were
did.
they? Some of those, we to ask the kids to avoid. But a lot of times the kids that start at community college could then transfer, so we want them to start at a good one and take the right classes. So we help with that as well.
Right. So the phone number is toll free. She does free consultations. That phone number is toll free 800-940-6491. And the website is brandcollegeconsulting.com. They do have offices also in Phoenix and in Houston and can help anyone from anywhere, really. Okay, so how should parents prioritize challenging courses like the AP Math, which is, if I'm saying all of this right, the AP Math, or over as the, I don't know, just say what you're trying to say here, because I don't know what you're trying to ask.
A lot of times I hear that question of, should my kid take the AP Calculus?
See, I didn't finish college.
Right. Well, it's tricky because a lot of times you're like, well, the kid's going to struggle in AP Calculus, or should he get an easy A in a pre-cal class or an Algebra 2 class? And colleges will time and time again tell us that they'd rather see the kids challenged. So we'd rather see him get a B in a really hard class than an A in an easy class. And the hard classes prepare them better. So try to push them. Try to get them to take the pre-AP classes and the AP classes and the honors classes and the Spanish 3 or 4 instead of just taking the first 2 years.
Well, you'd be even lucky if you can get some of them to finish one class.
Right.
Really,
right.
It's true. So that's why it's very important to call you early on, because when you have a child that you're just putting through and a lot and getting involved. Let's talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, because getting involved is so important. Because a lot of times you do your thing. You're so busy. You're working as a parent, or both parents are working, and if you're a single parent, it's even worse.
Right.
But so now, your child has already taken certain classes and he's wasted time or whatever. So what do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, that's one of the huge things that colleges are looking for. They want kids that are going to be involved on campus. So that might be sports and clubs. It might be student government. It might be lots of community service. So if the kids spent a lot of 9th and 10th grade not doing a whole lot, just going to class, but there weren't clubs, there weren't sports, there weren't volunteering, and then they come to me junior year, I can't, reverse time. We can't fix that. Their resume is going to be a little lacking, and it's going to affect some of their college choices. So for those parents that come and contact me a little early, we can start suggesting some of those. I have kids that tell me I'm too busy during the school year. That's fine. We'll schedule you for a couple weeks of summer volunteering. You can easily get 30 hours in a week if you volunteer at some of like the vacation Bible schools and electrical engineering classes for little kids and some of those. So you can get a lot of hours just by dedicating a little bit of time.
This is why it's important to talk to somebody like her, because she can help you think of all those little things that you're not thinking about. And when I also say parents getting involved, I really mean that you really want to get behind your children to help them to be able to get the best education that they can. She does free consultations. Her toll-free number is 800-940-6491. It's brandcollegeconsulting.com. Okay, so how early, we have sort of talked about this, they should start planning for the college admissions.
So college admissions, I like junior year for them to really decide on a college list. That sounds crazy early to some people, but I'll explain why. Because usually that's about the same time they're doing SAT and ACT prep. They should be doing some college visits. And if they kind of finalize that, it might move a little bit, but it's finalized at the end of junior year, then they can use that summer between junior and senior year to write their essays. Now, a lot of the kids are writing 4 or 5 essays. So if you wait until senior year starts and they get busy again and they get distracted, now you tell them, okay, write 5 essays in the next month. They're not going to put in a whole lot of effort, right? If instead you spend June and July doing it, when they're not probably doing a whole lot else, you have time for me to review it. You have time for a second draft. You have lots of time for them to work on it. Most of my seniors are done with applications now. They opened August 1st. And my goal is always, let's submit in August and September because classes are starting and you're getting busy. We've had a couple kids that already get college acceptances from the schools that have rolling admissions. And the funny thing is they'll always come and say, thank you so much for nagging me because now, all my other friends are stressing out and I'm already getting in. So that's nice.
Now, real quickly, too, because I see here that you do career planning and assessments.
Yes, we do that career quiz that we can give them online to go over with them and kind of narrow down the majors.
So that will guide them right in the beginning of where they really want to go.
Right.
What are your final words for today?
Just, if you need help, give us a call. A free 30-minute consultation might answer some of those questions. You might be good and you can handle it on your own. You might decide to use this for a few hours or consulting package, but I'd rather you do that up front than wait and make a mistake or, injure those kids' chances.
So you do have different packages that they can do with you, and they don't have to do it all.
Right. We have the big college consulting package. We just have hourly consultations. So if you you need help a little bit here and there, we have that as well.
Do you help them with tutoring too? If they need to get can you help them with tutors to find all that?
Yes, we have private tutors that specialize just in that SAT and ACT. So we can help
because they all really know that they need that help.
Yes.
They want that so badly.
Yes,
great. So again, she can help anywhere from anyone in the United States. She's got offices here in Phoenix and also in Houston. And her phone number toll free is 800-940-6491. She does free consultations. And you know what, guys? Even though it's Friday, start thinking about this. You know what? You don't want it. You want to go to college and get somebody to help you out to do it right the first go around. Again, you can check out her website. It is brandcollegeconsulting.com, and that number toll free. It's 800-940-6491. brandcollegeconsulting.com.